Greetings, everybody. This is your friendly neighborhood movie fan coming to you again. This time with my first ever 4K UHD film review. Today I'm going to be taking a look and explaining a few things about a trilogy of films that started 25 years ago, back in 1999, and it's become very popular ever since. And we are, of course, talking about The Matrix. Now, for most people who have been living under a rock, The Matrix was written and directed by two brothers, Larry and Andy Wachowski, and the films primarily star Keanu Reeves, Carrie-Anne Moss, Lawrence Fishburne, and Hugo Weaving. The story primarily details a war between humans and machines, sometime after the year 2199. And the title refers to a virtual reality that all of humanity has been plugged into by the machines, so that the artificial life forms can use their bodies to generate energy to keep themselves alive. So the minds of the human beings are jacked into the Matrix, and they're completely unaware of it. They are basically, like the Borg in Star Trek. They're kind of, just numb to the whole thing. Their perception is that the world around them is real, and they have no problems with that. But a few others have escaped, and the leader of the ragtag group, at least in the first film, is a man named Morpheus, played by Lawrence Fishburne. And he leads a team of rebels whose sole mission is to free people from the Matrix, so that eventually they can build an army large enough to wage war against the machines and free the rest of humanity from the Matrix. So that is the long and short of the film series. The primary antagonist of the series, at least in the first three films, is a character named Smith, played by Hugo Weaving, and he is what's known as an agent of the system. He's a sentient computer program with the authority to rule and reign within the confines of the Matrix itself, and he can do certain things that, human beings can't. He can move very fast. He's almost impossible to, sustain damage. He can clone himself, especially in the second and third films. So, there's a lot of things that he can do that others can't, and it makes him a very formidable enemy. Okay, so enough about the spoilers. Now it's time to break down the set itself. So I bought this off Amazon a few months ago, and being the procrastinator that I am, I did not watch them for, a couple of weeks. And I watched the first film, I don't know, about a month ago or so. And to my recollection, I did not see it in theaters when it hit screens in '99. I did not see it in theaters. I saw it many times in different formats on home video, but the color palette and, the nature of, technology back then with VHS and DVD and even Blu-ray to a certain extent, they all had very different limitations, and as such, they all had, vastly different appearances regarding, what the different scenes looked like, and, how the effects, the special effects, translated between the foreground and the background. I mean, these films, by virtue of the story that the Wachowski brothers were trying to tell, is very, very heavy on visual effects. I mean, I would say well over 75% of the film of each film is full of visual effects of some kind. I mean, there is a visual effect in almost every single scene, whether it's a fighting sequence, whether it's an environment, whether it's, anything else. I mean, there's something in there. So now, okay, so the packaging first. The films come as a box set, 3 films, and this is the outer slipcover, okay, and it comes off, right like that, and the under art is exactly the same thing. Right here is the slipcover, and it's cheap, paperboard. It's not really durable at all, but the outer box itself is actually, pretty, it's fairly, it's more durable than the outer sleeve. It's not as thick as some other releases that I've seen, but I think Warner Brothers did a fairly decent, job on that. Alright, so what about the artwork for the cases themselves? Well, let's start with the first film. They chose, for whatever reason, not to use the theatrical poster images for the release of the 4Ks. I don't know why, but maybe it was licensing, maybe it was just they wanted to mix things up, I have no idea. But this is what they decided to do. So for the first film, the original film, you have an image of a rabbit. Now this refers to a character early in the first film named Du Jour, and she is a member of a group of side characters that meets Keanu Reeves's main hero at his apartment, and her name is Du Jour, and she has a white rabbit tattoo on her shoulder. So that is like the entry point for him into the whole story. So, that's what that image refers to. And then the back simply has, some different scenes, with the text specs and the billing block and, all kinds of stuff. The second film... The second film is The Matrix Reloaded, and it contains a set of keys. Now, the keys refer to a character in the film known as the Keymaker, who is supposed to be able to unlock a lot of back doors within the environment of the Matrix. Doors that can lead to all sorts of different places in the machine world and within the AI mainframe. So that's where, and the back again is very much the same thing. So that is where that comes in. And then finally, the third film, The Matrix Revolutions, these little bugs, these nasty little creatures, are sentient machines in the human world known as Sentinels, built by the machines to hunt down humans. They infiltrate their ships, they attack this human city of Zion, they're nasty little buggers. And they swarm all over the place like insects. They kill a lot of people. So, in Revolutions, there's a whole horde of them that try to destroy the human race. So, that's probably why they chose to include, that on there. And then, of course, you got the usual, back info. Sorry about the glare from the camera. So that is what happens on that. Now, enough about the artwork. Enough about the outer thing. Each film comes in a 3-disc case. I won't show you the inside of all of them because they're very much the same thing. But the first film is a black disc with the 4K logo. Let me rotate it so you can read it. There you go, 4K UHD. And then the other 2 films are Blu-ray discs, and one of them is a Blu-ray copy of the film, which is identical to one of the previous releases. I'm not sure which one. And then the other one is, full of bonus features. Now, a note on those bonus features. Some of them have been omitted from previous releases, most notably the trailers and the TV spots. I'm not sure why Warner Brothers decided to do this, but Collectively, they made that decision. So, that's the main thing that's missing. Also, there was a big DVD box set that came out in like 2004, I think, called the Ultimate Matrix Collection, and it had a few more in-depth goodies on it, like a couple of documentaries about, the historical and, political or, religious influences, on the series and the cultural impact and all of that. And some of that is carried over, I think. I don't know. I haven't broken them all down yet. But the bulk of that stuff from like I think it was like an 11 disc set, so it's like discs 10 and 11 were left off of the 4K releases, unfortunately. All right, now the big question, what most people want to know: how are the picture and sound quality compared to the DVDs and Blu-rays? In short, I think they are outstanding, especially concerning the original movie. I have my TV that you see behind me is a 65-inch Vizio, and it's not particularly high-end, but it has a lot of sharpness and a lot of brightness, and people say it's not very bright because it didn't cost me thousands of dollars. I say shut up, it's good enough for me. It is a budget TV. I mean, it ran me like, $650. A lot of the higher end TVs can cost you like $1,500, $2,000. I'm not paying that for an HD TV. The picture and sound I thought were stellar. I mean, they were very vivid, reds, greens, blues, yellows. I mean, they all just shined very, very brilliantly, especially in the original movie. Flesh tones were great. The green code that represents the Matrix itself was also very dense and very great, very bright. The cityscapes were blue and beautiful. The black levels and the shadows, the colors on the black costumes worn by a lot of the characters, like leather and, satin. A lot of that is, very, very detailed. Yellows especially pop very well, particularly during daylight scenes like the Oracle's apartment and the human world, or at least the human world as simulated within inside the Matrix itself. The sequels, I don't know. I mean, the picture is still great in the sequels, but I would have to drop them down by about half a point, both of them, simply because the color palette, even though the sharpness and detail are perfect across all three films. I mean, you could not get any better. I think it's reference quality, personally, when it comes to sharpness and detail over everything. But in terms of just the general color schemes, in the sequels, it's not as varied, particularly in Reloaded. Reloaded is almost entirely comprised of different shades of blue. There's a couple of outdoor scenes that are, green or yellow, and have a little bit of flesh tones in them. For the most part, it's almost entirely, blue toned. And Revolutions is very much the same way. Again, you have a scene in the Oracle's apartment, and then the final fight between Neo and Smith is almost monochromatic, almost black and white, with some flesh tones and a little bit of blue and green mixed in. But again, I mean, the first film is the one, if you're looking for a varied color palette that you really want to show off to people for the 4K format, do it with the first film. The sequels are great. the sequels are very, very good in terms of, if I had to rate the overall, visual presentation of all three films from a scale of 1 to 10, it would be probably 9 out of 10 for The Matrix, 8.5 for The Matrix Revolutions, and maybe 7.5 for Reloaded. Not because of a lack of sharpness or detail, but just because of the lack of diversity in the color palette regarding the sequels. So, the audio is really good too. I do not have a home theater system, so I couldn't gauge it that way. But my TV, produces, a decent enough level of sound. Even having it at just 30% volume, I could still hear, everything extraordinarily well. So, no need to really, discern anything. The music, the dialogue, the audio effects like bullet fire and, environment damage, like when characters are thrown through walls. All of it. You could hear that like crazy. So, no need to really separate a lot of stuff there. So, on the whole, in summation, I'm going to give this release, on a scale of 1 to 10, in total, I don't know, I think I'm going to give it an 8. Maybe an 8.5. Okay, maybe just chop it in half. 8.25 out of 10. That'll be my final judgment call. 8.25 out of 10. So, Warner Brothers did an excellent job. And, people have said, well, what about the fourth film, The Matrix Resurrections? And it's like, I've seen clips from that on YouTube. And while the visual, efforts, are definitely there, there's a wide variety of color. The movie itself just does not look very good. It looks like a poor imitation of the trilogy. And the trilogy had a pretty satisfying end on its own. I don't really understand, why one of the Wachowskis decided to further the franchise. I just don't get it. There was no need for it. And they only got back like 2 of the main cast anyway. Keanu and Carrie Ann both returned for it. Hugo Weaving was busy, and Lawrence Fishburne wasn't even asked. Jada Pinkett Smith came back for it, and so did Lambert Wilson as the Merovingian. But I think that's pretty much it. If anybody else returned, I'm not sure I'm familiar with it. So, anyway. So I probably will not be reviewing or purchasing Resurrections. But I wanted to just tell you guys my thoughts on the trilogy set. So, I would buy it if I were you. Amazon currently has it for anywhere between $30 to $50, depending on if you get it new or used, and when you get it, because their price goes up and down all the time. So, check on it and, keep tabs. You never know when you'll find a good deal. So this is your friendly neighborhood movie fan signing off. Thank you for your time.